Hey guys, what's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rise. We're back here at Tasca Buick GMC in Palm Harbor, and guess what? I have that one compact crossover SUV that's getting a total makeover for 2026. It's this vehicle right here. This is a 2026 GMC Terrain Denali. But before we get into this luxury spec of the Terrain, let's talk about what's going on here. So big changes for the Terrain. We've already showed you the 2025 redesigned Elevation. Now we're taking it up to the luxury trim. So for 2026, they're going to introduce the Denali and the AT4, which is their off-road spec. Only 3 trims moving forward, which I think is very smart. The other bit of great news is not only is it a redesign on the exterior, but wait until you see the changes on the inside. Now, GMC, that General Motors truck company, that professional grade of truck, has really expanded their SUV lineup because, quite frankly, SUVs sell. So what I want to find out is, can a Denali trim of the Terrain compete with a luxury brand vehicle like, say, the Lexus NX350? Why don't we go ahead, let's dive into this GMC Terrain Denali and see if we can find out. Right off the bat, love the color. It's called Downpour Metallic, and it's got a really nice metallic tinge to it. A lot of metal flake, more metal flake than your grandpa's balls. His bowling balls don't stand a chance against this paint job. Now up front, you see the whole new redesign, new LED lighting, headlight housing. Love the way they do the LED headlights, daytime running lamp, and turn signals. Working our way down, the Denali trim is going to give you some of that shiny, bright metal work. But look, you actually have functional corner air curtains and LED fog lamps. So they're really spoiling you, where a lot of brands are moving away from fog lamps, and by having fake vents on the front, you get both on this Terrain, and then everything else is that downpour metallic color with just a little bit of gloss black. Now, as we come across that GMC traditional style grille, very unique. I like the way it has that nice aluminum style. It's more aluminum, like a polished aluminum, rather than just shiny chrome, especially on the trim across the brow of the hood. But you got the GMC badge, that dark red, forward-facing camera, fully functional up top. Working our way down, a little bit more of that brushed aluminum look. And then we do have functionality in the lower grille, which is gloss black. But let me know what you think about the face of the new Terrain. I think they really made it look more like a GMC truck, which gives it a more aggressive look. But let me know what you think in the comment section. Now, as we rise up, I like the way the hood is nice and high. I think that's one of the parts that when it comes down to the style that they got right. You got a little bit of indentation in the center, and then indentations on both sides of the hood. Coming around the bend, when you go Denali, you're going big wheel style on this compact crossover SUV. So you're gonna notice this machined aluminum, metallic, gunmetal gray finish, nice split spoke design all around. That's a 20-inch wheel. 20-inch wheel on a compact crossover. Once upon a time, you'd be lucky to get a 20-inch wheel on a midsize. This is a compact. Tire size are gonna be 235 on the width, 50 series sidewall, and I love, look at that, everything is painted that downpour metallic, and even the way that GMC does their traditional style side marker lights. There's a lot of different touches that separate GMC from Chevrolet. And remember, this would basically be a Chevrolet Equinox. Even the way they shape the fender opening is specific to GMC. Now, working our way down, you do have color match on the mirror cap, 360-degree cameras, bright shiny metalwork top and bottom around the window frame openings, raised roof rails. You can get your crossbars and all those goodies. The Denali name prominently displayed, not too high, not too low, and a little bit of that shiny aluminum style trim. But like I said, everything is painted downpour metallic. Now, working our way towards the rear, this does have all-wheel drive. So it's front-wheel drive base. It will send power to the rear wheels, and it's mechanical all-wheel drive. So that means you actually have a drive shaft sending the power to the rear wheels. It's kind of cool because you could turn the all-wheel drive on and off all by the press of a button. Nice little touch. Now coming towards the rear, they did a good job on the quarter glass. I like the way there's no trim around it, just on the top. And then coming around backside, really hit the nail on the head. You get a nice long roof spoiler, of course, color matched, that downpour metallic. We do have a digital rear view mirror with a washer. And then you'll see the restyling of the LED taillights, just like up front. Everything is LED, a little bit of silver trim. The Denali name, nobody's gonna miss that. They're gonna know that you're a baller because you got the Denali trim and it's spelled out for them. Gotta zonk that wiper. Put it under there, please. It really just, like I said, it just cleans up the rear end of a vehicle very nicely. Terrain all-wheel drive. Yes, you could get a Terrain front-wheel drive. And then working our way down the ground level, you have your nice clean cover here that pops off. You can tow with this vehicle, and then they finish it off with some aluminum style. But let me know what you think about the look. While you're doing that, I'm gonna pop the hood so we can talk about horsepower. All right, guys, we got the hood popped. The one downside to all this great new look and technology on the inside is you're getting the same engine. It's the Ecotec. What do we talk about? It's a 1.5 liter turbocharged inline four, 175 horsepower, 203 pound-feet of torque. The good news is you do get an 8-speed automatic. 0 to 60 though, you're not gonna win any races, I promise you that. 8.5 seconds. The vehicle weighs 3,700 pounds. MPGs, 24 in the city, 28 on the highway, and you could tow up to 1,500 pounds with your Terrain Denali. So like I said, disappointing that they did all this great work, but they left us with the same exact engine with the same amount of horsepower, same amount of torque. Could have done something a little different there. But why don't we go ahead, let's fire it up and see this Terrain Denali roll. All right, guys, we are inside this 2026 GMC Terrain Denali. I know you're saying to yourself, well, Joe, I never liked the Terrain. I never even gave it a thought. But I'm glad I watched your review. I'm glad I'm watching the review because this Terrain is definitely totally different than anything that I've seen before from GMC with their compact crossover. But how much is it? Very good question. This particular one being a Yukon, what am I saying, a Yukon? It's a baby Yukon. It's called a Terrain Denali. You're looking at an MSRP of $43,000. But let's see what you get for the money when you go with this redesign. To the door panels, you're getting two-tone. Now what's interesting is in the shade, it looks a little bit more on the black side, but that's actually a dark chocolate brown top portion to the interior. It is soft touch. You do have open pore wood and some of that shiny chrome style finish. No gloss black around the switchgear, which is good for the windows or the door locks. And the door pocket is a decent size to where you could probably get, I would say, 4 scones and a nice crappa lappuccino from Starbucks in there. Now going from the door panel to the dash, more of that two-tone, soft touch. Love the way they did the soft touch here. That wood trim looks really good. Slide on in, you're getting 15 inches of infotainment system. And I'm digging, normally I don't like the portrait vertical style. I'm digging how GMC is incorporating the infotainment system into their dash. It's better than it just being stuck on top of the dash. At least they're trying here. But it's full touchscreen. Of course, you have all your familiar icons and apps. The cameras are freaking stupendous. And then we're right back to where we started with our maps. You got a real volume knob, heated seats and ventilated seats. You got to go into the screen. Not that big of a deal once you figure out where it is. And then you have your toggle switches for your dual climate control, which is really nice. USB-A, USB-C, and a place where you could put, I would say, 6 Twinkies, 2 cup holders. We have our GMC, General Motors Truck Company key fob with remote start. Wireless charging goes right in there. Soft touch with the stitching. Open it up, you have a nice little tray. This is perfect if you're gonna drive around with your G.I. Joe action figure collection, you could put all their weapons in here. And that's the thing, as a kid, I always used to lose. The machine guns, the pistols, the grenades, all used to get lost. Put them in here, and then you could fill it up. I would say you could at least put 50 opened G.I. Joe guys. If you were one of those kids that never opened your G.I. Joe and you just play with them in the cardboard container, we gotta have a talk. That's kind of interesting to do that. But hey, you're reaping the benefits now because you could sell them for millions of dollars on Craigslist. Seats, the leather, Denali embroidery. Love the perforation. Look at this nice style stitching that they've done. Electric assist for the passenger, super soft. Electric assist for the driver. This particular one doesn't have a sunroof, and that doesn't make sense to me. That's a zonk. I think every Denali should have a sunroof automatically. But you do have the digital rearview mirror, which is nice. But why don't you come over here to the business side? I want to show you behind the brown steering wheel in this Terrain. All right, guys, Mountain Denali style, business side. You do have all your switch gear, easy to get to. Seats are very, very comfy. They did a redesign of the seats. I'm 6 feet tall, plenty of room in here. Steering wheel, you got that dark chocolate brown. Makes me want to go get a nice piece of chocolate or something, some Hershey's. And then you do have a heated steering wheel, the Denali badge surrounded with the GMC grill logo. You do have paddles to go up and down that 8-speed automatic. Here's where you turn on and off the all-wheel drive, and you have your different drive modes, which I'm gonna have Steven show the infotainment system to show you those 4 different modes. Look at the graphics. Really, really cool how they've been incorporating new technology. And then the 11-inch digital gauge cluster. You can go through a cornucopia of information and how you want it displayed. Really, really nice. Clear as can be. The other thing that's a bit of a shocker, no head-up display. In a Denali. But let's get in the back seat and see if your passengers are gonna be happy you went with this Terrain. All right, guys, back seat time, and just like up front, same great leather material, the stitching. Everybody gets a special off-white seatbelt that's worth an extra 5 horsepower. Backs of the seats, that dark chocolate brown. Nice pockets. You could put at least 4 Willy Wonka bars in there. Hopefully you get the golden ticket. And then you have 3 stages of heated seats, no ventilated seats in the back seat, 2 AC vents and 2 USB-Cs. Like I was saying, I'm 6 feet tall and there's plenty of room in here. Seats don't recline and they don't slide. But you do have a very tasty armrest. Look how soft that is, like Charmin. 2 cup holders. Let's get to the cargo area. I'm gonna take you for a spin in this Terrain. All right, guys, cargo time. Hit the button under the end. Nice electric assist. You're gonna be greeted to some really good usable space. And remember, this is a compact. This is not a full size. So when you look at the space, what's nice is you do have a 12 volt. So when you're at the beach and those kids want that freaking raft blown up, you could use an electric air compressor, LED lighting back here. And then the seats do fold down 60-40 split. You just hit the button up top and you just flip her down. Let's see if I could get the other one to go down. Hopefully the driver's seat won't be in the way. Woo! Look at that. Do your Costco run. Get yourself your big old gallon, 50-gallon drum size of mayonnaise and ketchup and all the fixings for your next picnic. But I'm not interested in a picnic right now. I'm interested in going for a drive. If you're ready, I'm ready. Let's take this all-new Terrain Denali for a little spin. All right, guys, we left Tasca Buick GMC Palm Harbor. We're inside this redesigned 2026 Terrain Denali. And right away, I mean, it is super refined in here. The materials, that nice 15-inch infotainment system, the 11-inch digital gauge cluster. Like I said, it's just missing a couple things. Head-up display and a freaking sunroof. If they could have put that in and keep it at the $43,000 price point, they'd have a home run when it comes to the interior. Visibility is great out the front, especially now that you have the higher hood. Gives you a good visual reference point. Of course, you're gonna get all the safety features. The one downside, like I said, is gonna be that 1.5 liter turbocharged inline-4, just because when you compare it to the competition, it is down a little bit on horsepower and torque. But the nice thing is 8-speed automatic, no CVT. But the great part of the Terrain Denali is just how quiet it is on the interior. Better sound deadening material, better structural adhesives. And that's rolling on the 20-inch wheels and tires, which usually those tend to give a noisier, harsher ride, but you're not feeling that in this Terrain Denali. The digital gauge cluster is super crisp. Love the way you can configure it many different ways. And then of course, when it comes to the different modes, the one thing that is missing is any kind of sport mode. But with the way that this crossover SUV is, I don't think that's a big determinant. But I'm just blown away by how comfy this interior is. Especially when you compare it to previous generation Terrains. You do have that all-wheel drive system. And just really a nice, smooth, comfortable driving experience. Visibility out the back is a snap because we do have the digital rearview mirror. And yes, there are other interior color options, so don't think that you have to go with the dark chocolate brown and the off-white interior. There are other colors as well. But as you can see, it's definitely more refined of a Terrain than the previous generation, that's for sure. And I like the more muscular look to it, especially with the 20-inch wheels on the Denali trim. But it's a good size crossover SUV, and I think a lot of people are going to appreciate that. Let's go on throttle. You ready? On throttle, up the hill. So like I said, you're not going to win any stoplight drag races, but you do have plenty of power to get out of your own way. And the 8-speed does shift rather smoothly, so that's a good news as well. I think the biggest takeaway though with this is just how comfortable it is. Really, really comfortable driving experience. And the ease of driving it, very, very easy to drive, even in a traffic situation like we're in right now. Suspension feels good, it's not bouncy, feels very buttoned up. It's just missing some of those things that I think people want when they go Denali trim. Yes, you could option in a sunroof. I mean, that's not a problem, but it should just come standard when you get a Denali. On throttle, here we go. The engine is a little on the buzzy side, as is most 4-cylinder turbos, but it just seems like the Ecotec is not as refined as the actual Terrain is. So it's just something to think about. But for the money, you're getting a lot of crossover SUV here. But I'm hoping that this was a good overall review of the Terrain Denali. We're going to get back to Tasca Buick GMC Palm Harbor and wrap this one up. So I'll see you in a split second. All right, guys, another great day in so many ways. Got to thank Dean and the rest of the team here at Tasca Buick GMC Palm Harbor. Definitely got to freaking look at this and say to yourself, wow, GMC really did their homework and tried to cover every little piece of this Terrain. Let me know what you think though. Can it hold a candle to the Lexus NX? Let me know in that comment section. But if you're new to the channel, you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Raised Rides family. Got to give it up to the Flood man. He's flexing his calves, he's flexing his guns, and he's flexing his camera skills. So thank you, Steven, for all your flexing. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.